The average American uses over 100 cubic meters of water a day. In turn, the world uses almost 64 billion cubic meters of fresh water a year. This can be easy to ignore in the United States, when all you have to do is turn a knob, flip a switch, or press a button to get as much water as you need. However, water, if clean at all, is difficult if not impossible to access in many parts of the world. The social Catholic teaching relates the environment, especially access to water, to the concept of the common good. With nearly 7.5 billion people on Earth, water scarcity must be addressed and dealt with. People must learn to respect Earth's natural resources and understand the mass limits that those resources have. We must learn to share these resources among all people and assist others while in crisis. This coincides very well with the ideas of solidarity in the Catholic social teaching. Pope Francis says that no one can remain insensitive to the inequalities that persist in the world. And I would like to make an appeal to those in possession of greater resources, to public authorities and to all people of goodwill who are working for social justice. Never tire of working for a mere just world, marked by greater solidarity. We want to not solely depend on one another, but reflect on the community and its members as a whole and find widespread plans that benefit us all. In 2002, the United States declared 2 dead zones in the Gulf of Mexico, measuring 8,500 square miles and the other 5,500. These dead zones are created when large amounts of nitrogen, phosphorus, and other agricultural runoff are concentrated in one area. These nutrients stimulate algae growth, creating algae blooms that quickly consume all the oxygen in the water, which asphyxiates nearly all aquatic life in the area. It is our responsibility to monitor what materials we use and what will eventually run into the oceans. This crisis breaks the principle of the common good in which Pope Francis expands on in his encyclical letter Laudato Si, on our common home. Many of those who possess more resources and economic or political power seem mostly to be concerned with masking the problems or concealing their symptoms, simply making efforts to reduce some of the negative impacts of climate change. Pope Francis summarizes that attempting to cover up the consequences of our actions is not an adequate substitution for actually troubleshooting and solving the issue. The Gulf of Mexico dead zones are not the only man-caused environmental catastrophes. In 2010, the BP Deepwater Horizon oil spill began, where nearly 5 million barrels of oil leaked into the waters of off-coast Texas. The spill site also happened to be the home of over 8,500 unique species that found solace in the special area. Of these many species, it was projected that the spill affected an estimated 82,000 birds, 6,000 sea turtles, and 26,000 marine mammals in the area. Like most disasters, when the media coverage died down, so did the public's attention. However, the BP's oil spill's effects are still seen today. Oil byproducts are still being found in pelican eggs and bleached coral reefs around the world rooted in the spill. Not to mention the $54 billion check that was left afterwards that BP refused to pay for. This opposes both the Catholic social teaching principles of care for God's creation and the common good. The common good therefore involves all members of society. No one is exempt from cooperating according to each one's possibilities in attaining it and developing it. The common good must be served in its fullness, not according to reductionist visions that are subordinated by certain people to their advantages. Bigwigs cannot prioritize their businesses over the common good of the lesser. This includes all of God's creations and their necessities, including water. Most people see the destruction of our world rooted in nuclear warfare and disease. However, the biggest threat in humanity is humanity's mistreatment and ignorance of nature. With certain political figures attempting to downplay the urgency of climate change and our environment at large, it is the most crucial time to educating today's youth on preserving and bettering our environment. As overseers of the earth, we must take initiatives to help Earth for our posterity and beyond.